because I just have to have the reminder. Sometimes I get excited about something and I will occasionally, get sidelined when I'm on a project or with clients or something like that. So I want to go ahead and get started because we've got so much to cover today in just about 45 minutes. I promise to stop talking at 45 minutes. And this again, is there another screen where you can see me live? Oh, yes. So share my screen. Hey, good to see you. Yay, I can see you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, which is my desktop, which is going to be my PowerPoint. And this will be much easier.
And that's what...
There we go.
I have no longer have access to that. It is no longer available.
I think you're there, the volume.
So I tried to mute everybody. Is everybody pretty comfortable with that? Sounds great. So let's go ahead and get started if we could. And this is how we drive business growth. And most of us, when we think about either organizational or business growth, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at either figuring out ways we can serve our customers better, ways we can market and communicate better, ways we can empower and develop our leaders more. And I'm going to talk a little bit about developmental and leadership things for just a second. I want to pause on that moment. Right now, more than ever, there are people who, in organizations, especially our younger folks, who desperately are looking for leadership and mentorship. And if they are not getting this, then they will leave. So over 67% of millennials say that they are thinking about leaving organizations if they do not feel as though they have great organizational support. All right. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but I don't want you to see that. Okay, and then structural and operational framework issues and how we can just align things better so that we know where we're going, and more importantly, our team knows where we're going. A lot of times I have small businesses who I ask them, or even larger nonprofits, and even some of my Fortune 500 folks, I ask them, I say, are you crystal clear about where you need to go? And they go, well, I'm pretty clear. I say, great. So where is that? And if I am part of your organization, how can I, how do I know what you're thinking? And many of my, especially my owners and my presidents, they point at their head and they say, you know what, it's all up here. Okay, I'm just going to go back into participants for a second because it looks like we've got some people who are not quite, I'm going to, there we go. All right, there we go. And off we go. So let's look at some business and organizational assessments. And this is kind of the basis for this program today. And I'm going to give you this in one place at the end of this as well. So the big question, of course, is exactly what you asked, is where can you allocate your time and your resources to improve profitability? So one of the things I ask my folks who are in business is to wake up every morning and say, what can I do today that is going to generate income, that's going to generate revenue? And sometimes people confuse the two. You can maybe make more money, but if you're not making more profit, that's kind of a big difference. So just because you're producing more and able to sell more units of something or provide more services doesn't necessarily mean that you are making more profit. So where do we best allocate our time and our resources to improve profitability? Because if we were honest about how we spend our own time and how our people spend their time, we could all probably say that there's places where we waste time. So here's our time and resources, and here's the key areas of focus. This is in your workbook. When you are running any kind of organization, your message, of course, to most people is online. When they first find out about you, that is how they find out about you. And when you look at that, you say, okay, that, of course, is my online profile. So what does my website look like? And so we're so comfortable with our own website and we know where everything is that sometimes we forget it's not as easy for other people. So I'm a big fan of about twice a year doing a website review, asking 3 people to pull up your website on their phone, their iPad, their computer, even websites that are mobile enabled initially. Sometimes with plugins and updates, the mobile enabling gets a little wonky. So that's something that we always need to be thinking about, is to double check those. And then social media marketing. Right now, we can like it, we can hate it, it doesn't matter, but we need to make sure that we have a social media marketing plan. And that means consistency, consistency, consistency. This is where many people get very excited in the beginning, like with any initiative, and then that consistency falls off as it becomes something like drudgery, like, oh gosh, it's Friday, we haven't posted anything. Oh gosh, it's been 3 weeks, we haven't done anything. And this then becomes a chore. So one of the things we found very successful is asking folks in the organization, is there somebody who really wants to take this on as a secondary job or an ancillary responsibility? And if so, what can we do to help that person be really successful? What kind of training do they need? And there's great little short micro learning opportunities for social media that allow people to get pretty smart on things pretty quickly. And then advertising. How are we best advertising our products, services, and goods? Where do we advertise? What do we need to do to advertise? Can we run specials? Can we do things that are going to help other people? What does that look like? And how can we best get the word out about our product? So old school thinking about advertising is, billboards and mailers and flyers and fancy other stuff. And right now, what works for us for advertising is not so much, here's my product in your face. It's now things like, watch carefully the Super Bowl commercials. I would guess you're going to see some social initiatives. You're going to see some, hey, this is what we're doing in the community. Some, hey, this is a cool thing for people to do, sponsored by us. So it can be something, for mine, and y'all know me well enough to know by now, that I would do something like, here's dog shelters throughout the world, and here's how we can help them. And this message is sponsored by, Mary. That's how I would do something like that. So again, I would be mentioning my business, but it wouldn't be so much the in-the-face advertising that we used to have in the past. So we have, again, our products and services and how we get the word out about our products and services and what we need to do to make sure our products and services are what our people actually need. Oops, let's see, that was operator error right there. And then our expenses. Many small businesses, large businesses, all businesses, organizations have trouble reining in their expenses or at least knowing what everybody is spending. So if you are a smaller business and you can either allocate an expense report or give people a set budget and keep track of it that way, that works. For my smaller businesses, have set credit cards that everybody uses for certain things so that everybody keeps everything in line. If you need a way to track this, there is a profit and loss statement on my website, and it's just what you're spending money on and where you might be losing money and some ways to organize that. Again, probably best for smaller businesses, not my Fortune 500s, of course, but that's on productiveleaders.com / the word free, FREE -resources, or just free, and it pops up. And then strategic planning, like what you're talking about with the different organizations coming together. Strategic planning is not just getting everybody in a once-a-year retreat and deciding what's bad and then trying to fix what's bad to go forward. Strategic planning is really looking creatively at where we want to be as an organization in 3, 5, 10, 20 years. And one of the big questions I want to talk about with strategic planning in this really quick overview that we've got today is how do you think your customers are going to change in the next 3 to 5 years? And then what do we need to do to meet the needs of those customers? But how can we get ahead of our customer curve? And this is where companies like Apple, of course, were genius. 10 or 12 years ago, nobody had an iPhone because they hadn't been invented yet. And now, of course, we all have some kind of smartphone and we can't imagine living without them. So how can we be that company that gets ahead of the curve and provides things for our customers and clients that they didn't even know they needed, that were there before they even know they need something? And that, to me, is real strategic planning. And this requires thoughtful innovation, creativity, brainstorming, and a lot of what if. Well, what if this changed? What if this happened? What if we migrated? What if? And a big part of that, of course, and I'm just going to address it for a second, is change. So many times people who have been in organizations, especially in the merger that we discussed before this started, when there's any kind of change happening, there's going to be resistance to change. And people resist change for a lot of reasons, partly because we believe people want to do well. And any kind of change threatens their ability to perform as well as they were doing before, perhaps. The other part of change is that it's something that they have to learn and something to adapt to. And many people just don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. Again, there's a fear of not being able to do it well. There's a fear of, this is going to take effort and time. And there's a fear that the new change won't be any better. I will tell you that I've been with organizations where they've initiated several new computer software programs, and for about 4 years there was an entirely new overhaul for the software program, a new one every single year for 4 years, because they didn't have the right research in the beginning to identify the right software. So as a result, people just felt for 4 years that they were in this software nightmare where nobody knew exactly what they were supposed to do to make things happen. The software never worked as they thought it was supposed to be, and people were just frustrated. And then when they finally got the program in that was going to work, that worked, the one they kept, people were so exhausted with change fatigue that there was no enthusiasm left. We had exhausted all of the enthusiasm, most of the patients, and we were pegging out on the frustration level. So strategic planning is making sure that our people are prepared for the changes, as well as making sure that our products and offerings and services are where they need to be. And then we have to look at our customers and where our customers are, how they find us, what delights them, what is making our customers even more happy to be part of our organization and to participate in their success and our success and work together. And then we have to look at our staff. And again, many people are mired in some old style thinking in terms of motivation and development and leadership. And right now, this is one of the areas where we see the number 2 expense for most large organizations is spent on leadership and personnel development. So when we think about staff, of course, hiring people is super important, but making sure that they're well trained is also important. I'm fond of saying that when I was in the military that, we're used to taking, you don't get to hire who you want. You hire who gets assigned to your unit, and that's what happens. So we didn't really have a choice in who we hire. So you have to make the best of whoever you get. And sometimes you look out and you get amazing, talented, smart, motivated people. And other times you just get people who are less fortunate. And our job in the military is to take those folks and make them into what we need. We need to transform them and give them the skills and the training that they need. And many times we think about training and skills and we don't think, oh gosh, they went to that training 3 years ago, they should know. Well, people need to be reminded and things change. And one of the areas where we see a lot of success is any organization that really embraces the idea of team building and leadership and creating environments where people can do better. So let's get to our next slide. So let's ask ourselves in terms of time and resources, what do I need to do? What are the top things we have to focus on? And of these 8 items, improve products or service offerings, cut my expenses, create a strategic plan, how to use my time better, how to find more clients and customers, get my people working better as a team, hire more staff, improve my own leadership skills. In these boxes on the worksheet you have, I would kindly suggest that perhaps you take the top 3 of these and just focus on the top 3. And if that way, it immediately helps us focus on what it is we need to be doing. And it helps us not feel as though we're overwhelmed. Many times in organizations have conferences, and I see people after 3 days and they're happy but exhausted and they've got all these things to do. They've got 150 new ideas and they're going to go back and do everything. Well, the reality is we go back and do nothing because it's just too many things. So we've got to look at our time and resources and say, okay, what is going to be the best? If we altered one of these things, what would be the best possible way that would improve our productivity? That's going to improve our productivity. All right. So next, let's look at this. Growing a business requires attention to detail. So I want to talk about that for just a second because we oftentimes don't realize that little things dissuade our clients and our customers. So just a crazy example. I try to get my hair cut like most of you occasionally. I'm bad about it because it takes a long time. And at one salon I was at, they use this product from Pureology. It's a well-known company. And so I did the thing, and they used it on my hair, and I thought it looked great. So I'm thinking, well, the magic must be repeated if I can just bring this stuff home. So I get this bottle of about $38 Pureology home to my house, and the bottle doesn't open. Like it's welded shut. I cannot get the stuff out. There's a defect in this bottle. And so for $36 or $38 or whatever it was, I thought, well, this is kind of silly. Next time I'm back to that shop, I'll swap this out. So I went back to the shop a month or two later with my still unopened, unused bottle because the stuff would not come out. And I showed them the product, and the salon said, oh, that's not our problem. That's Pureology's problem. We've had a lot of people experience this issue. And I said, well, but you sell it. Don't you stand behind what you sell? And they said, no, that's not our problem. That's Pureology's problem. So with one small detail, which was just the bottle design, that salon lost me forever for not standing behind their products. And Pureology lost me forever because their quality control of their bottle wasn't good. Now, the product was terrific, and I liked the product, and I liked the haircut, but those two things combined dissuaded me. So this is where sometimes the attention to detail is really critical, and for us as leaders, we have to make sure we're paying attention to some of those details that could possibly be dissuading some of our folks. So when we do our business growth assessment, I just want you to think of, please, yes, enthusiastically, no, enthusiastically, or maybe not so sure. Yes, no, maybe are the answers to this. And that will help us identify where there are some areas where we can improve. So let's look at this. So again, the answers are yes, no, maybe. Do you have a business plan that accurately describes your business? So if somebody said, oh, do you do this? And you said, oh, yeah, but it's not in your current business plan and you don't have a way forward, that's more of a maybe. If your business plan has been fairly well updated and people know what that plan is, and that's clearly articulated, then that is an enthusiastic yes. If the idea of doing a business plan makes your stomach turn and you've never done it, or it's all in your head, then that would be a no. And that this is not bad, it's just things that we are reviewing to make sure that we are spending time and resources on what is best for you and your organization. We don't want to waste time. Do you have a strategic vision for your business that's driving it for future success? So what is that strategic vision? So just for a second on vision. Mission is what we do. We play baseball. Vision is where we're going. We're going to go to the World Series. So a strategic vision is not just the vision. It's not just where you think you're going and how you're going to change the world to get there. It's the strategy that's going to take you into the future. And I mentioned it I think, Kate, with your group in September, that I got to speak at the Iowa Child Prevention Conference. And we asked the folks there, we said, what's your vision for child abuse prevention, not child prevention, but child abuse prevention in Iowa? And they said, well, we want more resources for teachers, and we want more resources for law enforcement, and we want more educational programs for parents, and we want ways for siblings to react better with new siblings, and we want home visits, and we want more social workers, and they had this huge list. And I said, those are all amazingly great goals and tactics. But the vision for child abuse prevention in Iowa, to me, is there will never again be another child abused in the state of Iowa. So that, to me, is the difference between sort of tactical approaches and then that big driving vision that pushes people forward. And, Amy, we were talking about how to motivate teams and get them that sense of urgency they need to move forward. And having this huge vision of where we need to go and something that people can really get behind and get excited about, I think is critical to helping people get motivated for showing up every day and really giving us 100%. And then, is everyone in the organization clear on the goals for moving the organization forward? If you weren't there, so let's say you weren't there for a prolonged period of time, a month, so you're off doing other things and your team has to operate by themselves, could they figure out how to go forward even if you are not there? Are they crystal clear on what needs to happen next? Yes, no, maybe. And then let's get into how well we do in comparison to other folks. Are you filling a specific need? Are you different? How are you differentiating yourself? And then what are the unmet needs of the market that you could fill? And this, I think, is a very powerful question, because it asks us to look again at being ahead of the curve, ahead of that wave where our customers are going. Where can we provide Where can we provide value to customers in ways that they didn't even know they needed? And there's an economic term for this, and it's called Say's Law, S-A-Y apostrophe S, Say's Law. And it says supply creates its own demand. And that's, of course, if it's a good product. Supply creates its own demand. Again, like the smartphone or, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you've got a great idea that people are excited about and it's a great, great product, that people will gravitate toward it eventually. And there's ways that we can help people learn about that. And then what is your top business goal for the rest of the year? Is it to increase by 10% what we did last year? Is it to roll out a new product offering? Is it to be more creative in how we serve our customers? Is it to try maybe a new product or service? What is our top goal for the rest of the year? And then if you've got a team, which would be amazing, if you've got a team, you can discuss your top goal and say, you know what, this is what I really need to do for the rest of the year. This is my top goal. How do we get there? And then you can put the action steps into effect. So again, the development of leaders, because this is a concern for some of my larger organizations as well as some of my nonprofits. How are we doing compared to others in terms of, are we keeping up on things that we need to keep up on? In the past month, have we read, business magazines, periodicals in my area of expertise, my industry, or my competition? In the past month, have we read a book that furthers our business goal? It's a little horrifying to me that half of Americans don't read a book after high school. They never actually complete a book. So I think this is scary. One of the things you can also do is subscribe to one of those book summary services so that you don't have to read the whole book. You can just read part of you can just read the 8-page summary, the 10-page summary, or they'll even read them to you. There's several services out there that do that. I'm attending conferences, events, webinars that push me and my organization business forward. What am I doing to push me and the organization and my people forward? Am I part of a mastermind or group that help educate me and help me become better? Those of you who know that I love masterminds and people who can get together and give us good ideas and honest feedback. So then let's talk for a second about our revenue and expenses, because most of us are concerned, if you're a nonprofit, you still have to pay attention to your budget. So what are your break-even points? Now, a break-even point, I know that as soon as I put equations up here, some people are going to get up and get coffee. So remember, our total revenue is what we make. This is our sales numbers, the price of everything that we sell times the quantity of everything we sell. And that's our total revenue. That's everything we take in. But we've all got costs. And some of those costs, that's represented by TC, total cost. And those costs, let's say if we just look every month, we've got our fixed costs every month and we've got our variable costs every month. So our total cost is equal to our total fixed costs, say our salaries, regular wages, rents, utilities, leased cars, all the things that we have to pay out every month, and our variable costs. And this could be inventory, this could be people we bring in for special projects, it can be anything else, anything that varies by month. And this is our total cost. So obviously our profit comes from taking our total revenue and subtracting out our total cost. And if we were to graph this, it's going to look like this. So again, we want to be in the green spot. And for most people, when we start a business, the area between the 0 and where it says loss is of course a loss, because we've got those fixed costs, and those fixed costs don't change. And even when we're not taking in any income, we do need to and be paying expenses. And then we hit that break-even point. And that break-even point is that moment in time, that 1 second where all of our revenue equals all of our costs. So we've broken even. And then ideally what happens is our revenue continues to increase and our costs have steadied out. And this is where we start to make revenue. And so that green part, of course, is where we want to be. All right. And this is something that many folks don't always understand when they're building a business, that you expand beyond your second break-even point and into a loss. So this is why keeping track of our expenditures, our profits and losses is so critical. So then let's look a little bit about customer recruitment and retention. How do we find customers? What do we do once we get them? And then how do we make sure that we continue to provide what they need us to provide? So the idea of generating leads and customers, and I've got an entire program on this, is go where the fish are. If you're going to fish, go where the fish are. Don't go fishing, in dirt. Find where your customers are going and go there. Don't go to where your friends are. Many people like to they go to networking events thinking that's going to generate business. Networking events are great, but a lot of times I see people at networking events talking to who? Well, their friends. Or there will be 50 real estate agents at one networking event and, a banker. That is not a successful networking event. It's fun. It validates, you and your industry, and you have people you like and people you talk to, but that's not a great way to, in my mind, of getting leads from customers. You have to go to where your customers are. So when I say fish where the fish are, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's very dependent upon and very personalized based on the business and the industry you are in. So we talk about acquiring new clients. This is a very specific conversation that I have with people offline all the time. And once we get really clear about the customers we want and where they are, that becomes more targeted, more focused, and we're not wasting time. So for example, if you're on LinkedIn, and I would imagine most of you are on LinkedIn, and you are trying to work in the, I know I've got some insurance friends here today. Hello, insurance friends. But if you're trying to generate interest in your insurance product, then being on LinkedIn with groups of people who are other insurance people is nice, and it's great for support, but it's not necessarily where your clients are. So if you provide insurance products for, landscapers, then you want to be in the LinkedIn groups that are all about landscapers and not about insurance. Does that make sense? So then once we get customers, how do we appreciate them? So many times once we get them, we don't let them know we appreciate them, and we don't reiterate that relationship. And it is a relationship. We are seeing more and more organizations with products and services. And it doesn't matter, in my mind, if you are selling tacos or if you're selling real estate or you're selling, paint services. It's about relationships. People work with people they believe, like, and trust. It's the BLT sandwich. So this idea of customer appreciation, what are you doing for your customers that they find value, where they are able to provide you feedback and you thank them for that feedback? I'm fond of saying that your best customer is somebody who tells you when there's something wrong. And many customer feedback forms or processes are designed just to make you or us feel good about themselves. And I'm not going to lie, I like to feel good about myself. I like it when people say, that was the best thing ever, that was the best speaker ever, best webinar ever. But it doesn't, I like that. Don't get me wrong. I really, really like that. It feeds my ego. It makes me feel good about what I do. It makes me smile. But does it help me get better? And in fact, if we're not getting better, we're probably getting worse, or we're staying the same. Kind of, again, like going to the gym. I used to, if I didn't go to the gym, I would stay the same. And now if I don't go to the gym, I actually get worse. So we've got to have a way of getting great customer feedback in a way that's going to help us get better. There's a car dealership here in town, and they give you a card afterwards, and there's little smiley faces on it and a frowny face, and smiley faces are 5 and a frowny face is 1. And on the bottom of it, it says, if our representatives don't get 5 smiley faces, then their pay gets docked, or something like that. It's quite bad. So you look at it, and if you actually read it, you go, oh my goodness, this is quite terrible. I obviously don't want to, them to suffer because, service wasn't 5-star. Maybe it was just 4. Maybe it was 3. Maybe they were really busy. But the process is designed to give everybody 5 stars. So if the process is designed to give everybody the participation trophy, everybody the smiley face trophy, you're not finding ways to get better. And I think moving forward, 2019 and beyond, customer feedback that's valuable, I think, is going to be one of the key areas that distinguishes really that's going to be the good to great metric, is how we are getting customer feedback, honest feedback, how we are encouraging great customer feedback. Because again, your customers, they bought from you once, they probably want to buy from you again if you're providing what it is they want. So I think that's going to be a distinguishing factor. And oops, so it looks like somebody just unmuted something, and we might have some background. So If you could just make sure, if y'all could just make sure you're muted, that would be great. So customer recruitment and retention. Again, do we have a system in place for actively generating, receiving, and thanking referrals? And I'll confess to you folks, that's one of the things that I was mistaken, because I thought business was kind of like dating. I thought, well, if they like me, they will call me. And that is not true. We have to have a way to follow up. And it is never more important to follow up than when someone gives us a referral. And I thought, oh, a referral, that means they're going to call me. No. If someone gives you a referral, you have to guard that referral like a newborn baby. You have to guard that. You have to love it. You have to cultivate it. I will tell you that the real estate agents I know are fantastic about this. I think the real estate world does one of the best jobs ever with systematic referrals, both within and throughout their own agencies as well as other agencies. There's nationwide referral systems. And then what system do we have in place for showing sincere customer appreciation? You know, what do we really do? And that is maybe just a follow-up. And I'm just not talking customers, I'm talking clients and anyone we serve. So for example, I had a fantastic experience where we had a little surgery and, full anesthesia, out cold, home that night, doctor called the next morning, how is the patient doing? Well, the patient was my dog. And the vet was awesome, called on a Saturday afternoon. How is she doing? How's everything going? Is she eating yet? Is she having any pain? All the right questions. I might point out that when I had surgery about 18 months ago, again, out cold, full anesthesia, after a couple nights in the hospital, I got a call, but it was 6 months later. And at that point, it really didn't matter. So making sure that we've just got a system in place to double check on our customers. Again, your customers, it's not that they don't want to hear from you. They don't want to necessarily hear about you from you. That's a David Newman quote. He's awesome. What they want is just you caring about them. And then do we have systems in place for getting honest feedback? And this is really tough because sometimes our customers don't want to give us honest feedback because they don't want to upset us, or they don't want to do anything that's going to be difficult or take time. And sometimes we make it really, really tough for people to provide feedback because we ask them for, fill out this online form. Oh, wait, sign in. Oh, wait, give us all this personal information. Oh, wait, I would like your blood type, please. And all this. We make it really hard for people to give us feedback. We need to not make it hard for people to give us feedback. And does everybody on the team know how to take great care of your customers? And I will tell you, folks, I have some of the most amazing assistants on the planet. And if you've ever worked with Mika or Bryn or Robin or Christine, you know that they are unbelievably responsive, so nice. And my clients all the time say, we like you, but we love your assistants. They're amazing. And that is exactly what I want to hear. I want people on my team to take great, great care of my clients. Now, can we do better? Everyone can do better. Everyone can do better. And again, it's how many resources you want to spend and how much time we can spend on this. And then do we follow up with our clients the way we should? This is a great, great question. And if you're looking for new clients or looking to acquire new clients, start by going back to your clients 3 years ago and make a list of everyone who bought from you or whatever. And then, I'm talking your bigger clients, not your individuals necessarily, but go back to everybody who was in, and then go back to the people who didn't buy from you. Hey, you were interested in us at one point. Is there, this is what we're doing right now. We would love to serve you. Just keep top of mind. Because again, business is not dating. We have to follow up on things that people want, and we have to stay top of mind. When I first moved into my house here in Colorado, we had the floors redone. They were kind of this dark, dark wood, but it's a beautiful oak. And once we stripped it down to this lighter, beautiful oak color, the idea of staining it with a different color seemed super sad. So a guy came in, and his name was Jason. He worked 3 days in the house. He was amazing. He was efficient. He was fast. He was thorough. He made these floors look amazing, beyond brand new. Well, the problem was I would love to hire Jason again. I just don't know how to find him. That was when I was moving into the house. I was kind of disorganized in the move, and I know I had his business card somewhere, and I put it down somewhere, and I have no idea where it went. So again, just because your clients don't follow up with you doesn't mean they didn't like you. It's your job to follow up with your clients. And again, warm leads get cold really quickly. So what do your customers believe and think of when they think of your organization? So I'm very fond of the idea that when people think of my organization, that they think of nice people and maybe some dogs. I'm okay with that. But what do your clients and customers think about? And then are there certain characteristics of your organization that you want people to have? What do they believe and feel? What characteristics? We're reliable. We provide great quality. We're knowledgeable. We're professional. And again, whatever you do, your good or service, you're going to have a different list of characteristics. And if you look at your LinkedIn profile when it comes time to recommendations, your recommendation for your doctor is going to be very different from your recommendation from, say, your plumber. In both cases, you want them to be knowledgeable. In both cases, you want them to be professional. But with your doctor, you may want your doctor to be the smartest person in the room. And your plumber, what you need from them is you need them to respond when you've got an emergency. So the characteristics of what you provide to your customers can sometimes be tough for us to identify because we're not necessarily seeing it from the customer perspective. So one of the things you can do is ask some trusted friends. Say, hey, with my organization, what are some characteristics that right now describe how you view my organization? And then ask, what kind of characteristics do you think we could work toward? So give yourself the idea of getting this, again, honest feedback from people who like you. So how are some ways you can follow up with your past, current, and future clients? You can send thank you notes. You can send cards. You can send emails. You can make a phone call. You can do surveys. You can do focus groups. You can provide some kind of value added, something you can do with past, current, or future clients. And then for your website and social media, is your website easy to navigate? So many times people fall in love with their own website. And for a while, we got so excited about plugins that we plugged in just everything under the sun. Websites now, we're seeing cleaner, more comprehensive websites, and they've absolutely got to be website mobile friendly. So happy shout out. I use Robin at websitesbyrobin.com. She's awesome and creative. And that responsiveness is huge because if something happens or there's a new plugin and my stuff's not updated, I could have problems. I know so many friends who have had problems with websites. So is your social media updated constantly and consistently and linked to the website? And again, that provides the search engine optimization little spiders a place to hang on to. They love fresh content. They like websites that have been around a long time, and they like fresh content. And does the website capture customer contact information? Now, yes, I know pop-ups are super, super irritating for a lot of folks, but they do work. And it does help us identify who's interested in us so that we can follow up. So pop-ups, I think they can be good. They can be bad. Do you want them, every second? No. But maybe after, a couple of seconds of people browsing on your website, that's a possibility. And then here's some things we can do to make our social media even better. We can focus our efforts on the right places. So the biggest growth, of course, for young people is Snapchat and the big ones. And there's hundreds of social media sites out there, and Instagram. Right now, if you are growing a business, I would encourage you to think about more posts on Instagram and keeping your social media profiles up to date, fun, and interesting. Confession, which is terrible. I just went on my Facebook page and realized that it had my old LinkedIn address on it. So that's bad. And I talk about this. Shame on me. Obtain reviews and manage the bad ones. So reviews, as most of you know, I write books, and I love 5-star reviews on Amazon, and thank you so much for those of you who have done that. But occasionally I'll get one in there that hurts my feelings. Like I've got one where it says, I didn't even get past the first page, 1 star. I'm like, well, you could have given it to second page and not just given me a 1-star review. But some people are just going to be cranky. And then somebody else said, but when you've got a couple 1 and 2 and 3 stars in there mixed in with your 5 stars, it looks more authentic. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily, again, make me feel better, but maybe there's something valid in there. Maybe there's something I can learn. Maybe I've got to make that first page more compelling. So we've got to make sure that our reviews are out there, especially if we are on Yelp or TripAdvisor or Amazon, or again, if our organization has a profile on LinkedIn, make sure we've got recommendations on LinkedIn as well. And that will help us manage that. So again, most people don't expect us to be perfect. So then training and guidance in the last 3 minutes that we've got. The company needs trusted advice. We all need great advice. Everyone needs constant training and development. What are we doing to make sure that we are staying up to date and focused on where we need to be? As most of you know, I'm kind of a research hound, so I get up every morning and read, but not everybody has that time all the time. And so sometimes my friends I know, they use podcasts, books on tape, and even book summaries on tape. And then practice gratitude. I'm going to show you what I do in just a second. And do we have trusted advisors to help keep us on track? I serve as a corporate advisor to a few organizations. They bring me in because they want to make sure that they are making the right hiring decisions, the right firing decisions. They just want to talk things over with somebody who's got that outside perspective. I value that relationship so much. And to me, that is a newborn baby when this company brings me in and says, hey, what do you think about this? Many companies and organizations have some kind of board of advisors or directors. And again, the right people as your board of advisors can be everything. They can also be awful. So making sure that you've got support as well, perhaps with a mastermind or some kind of group of people who are going to give you honest, great information and a safe place to bounce ideas from, and people to also help you with accountability. If you say you're going to do something, how are you going to do it? And then do we devote resources for professional training for the team? Customer service and leadership and skills training are the top areas where most organizations are spending money right now. And then this is what we can do to increase learning and training and development. You know, we can do micro learning and micro training. We can keep things interesting. You know, Udemy and other online courses, they're super cheap. They, $10 to $30 and you can get a course. Right now, many academic institutions, Harvard, Yale, MIT, all have free online courses as well. So there's a ton out there. And then this idea of being grateful. What we found is that most of us, when we're responsible human beings, our brain goes all the time. So how do we shut this off? And it turns out gratitude is one of the answers. So some of you have seen my 5-minute gratitude plan. And ideally, I do this every night, and I date it, and I put the day. So today, of course, would be Monday, the day, and then the 28th of January. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, today was, well, maybe some things went wrong. Maybe, it snowed and I had a hard time getting out of the driveway. 3, so maybe I'll award it a 7. 3 things that went well for me today. Well, I got to do this webinar. I got to talk to some friends. Well, I worried about this today. I worried that connectivity would be a problem. And I worried about the snow. And I worried about, all these other things. Well, then what did I accomplish today? And then what did I not need to worry about? What went okay? And then what could have made today even better? And then by the time you get down there, you're like, oh, today was a pretty good day. Maybe I'm going to change that 7 to a 9 or a 10. And the idea is it releases those open text boxes in our brains that build up all the anxiety of the day. And what happens is when we actively practice gratitude for 30 days, if you do this every single day for 30 days, ideally the synaptic leaps in your brain become shorter. It actually makes your brain neurologically healthier. So try it. And we're going to send that to you right away. And then here's the 5-minute growth assessment that everybody's going to get. This is our bonus from the end of today as well. So I'll just tell you, oops, what just happened? So this is the 5-minute business assessment, and you can just use this for your team as well, and we're going to send that out. I'm going to do, for the first time ever, I'm going to take one of the day-long programs that I've been doing, and I'm going to do this in Colorado Springs. So if you're interested, we're going to do this on the 23rd of February, and you're the first people to hear about this, so it's pretty exciting. And it's going to be a whole day-long event here in Colorado Springs. The location is dependent upon how many people sign up. And if you're interested, we've got kind of a special deal just for people who are on this today because you've already got the head start. So if you're interested in that, just send me an email. We're going to flesh out more of these things. We're going to have the full manual and the full 2019 planner, and I think everybody is going to walk away with about 75 pages worth of stuff and some other things to grow business and do some better leadership development, and just make sure that that total revenue and our total cost delta, that change in the middle, is giving us the best profit ever. So we are right at 9:45. This is my contact information that most of you have, and thank you so much for being with me today. This was super fun, and I'm just so impressed that you all got up this morning and tuned into this. And we are going to be sending you the recording of this as well. And if you've got any, I'm going to check in to see if there's any questions that I might be able to answer before we go from the chat box. And okay. Yes, we are emailing you the gratitude plan, and that is